Okay, let me just take you through what I'm going to cover in next 20, 25 minutes. And I promise you, I'm going to get your attention. I really mean it, actually. This is important. This is something going to wake you up. This is something going to prepare you for how to face the new world that's going to probably impact you as an individual, your organization, and if you happen to run a large organization, then probably you must have a look at what we are trying to do. Digital disruption is for real, actually, and I'll take you through some of the slides why I say that. Actually. Those who are sitting on the fence, it's a good opportunity for them to look through what's going to happen. Those who have embraced that, it's an opportunity to see how you can take it to the next level. Actually. Those who don't know about it, it's a good time to start taking notes. Actually. So let me just give you a bit of my background. Actually, my background is a bit of a research company. We are let me just pick it up. Actually. So. Can you see this? We are around a 4.5-year-old company. I'm actually really sorry. I think most of you won't be able to read it, so let me just do a justice to you, actually. So what we do is we do track all the innovation and disruption across the globe, actually. We are currently tracking close to 500,000 companies in the world, actually. And its impact on large corporate, on various economies, and how it's going to impact various industries, actually. Our current focus is financial services and healthcare. And you can see that we work with globally some of the large financial services institutes like Visa, Sun Life, you will see NetWest. We also work with some of the pharmaceutical companies like Abbott, Pfizer, Astellas, and we are in talks with quite a lot of them. Actually. What are we learning? We are learning a lot of things from them. Actually. The biggest thing we are learning is everyone is now have a very clear focus, is that there is a very high potential that they're going to get disrupted, and they're going to get disrupted with not with an incumbent vendor, a large company. They're going to get disrupted with someone who they cannot see and visualize can potentially make a difference to them, actually. Let me take you through some of these slides. So in these, when we work with these companies, we work with their board, actually. We are working with their CEOs, we are working with their head of retail banking, we are working with the R&D head for a pharmaceutical company. And essentially, they're saying is that, give me a sense what's coming, actually. What is the new things happening which digitally can impact? And essentially, they're saying is that I need to work with them, either partner or procure a product, or essentially, maybe take an equity stake or acquire them. Why are they saying this? There's a reason for that, actually. So let me just take you through. Let's just understand what is digital disruption, actually. A lot of time you see that things move gradually, not in digital disruption, actually. Suddenly one day you will hear an organization decides they've collapsed, actually. How many of you are aware about Thomas Cook? It's just a couple of weeks back, right? What just happened? It didn't happen gradually. The whole tourism industry has changed, actually. It has changed drastically. And you get up one day and say, hey, Thomas Cook can't pay salaries, actually. Why? Because the entire industry has been taken over, actually. That's digital disruption for you, actually. Okay? Why does it look large? You're going to see that interesting, actually. So what we have done is that we have categorized them into a very interesting category. We are calling it disruptor. Okay, and you see that on the disruptor. This is on my left-hand side. Yeah, your left-hand side, actually. So the people you see that, right, combined, they close to have $6 trillion turnover, right, which is probably bigger than India's economy. We are thinking that we're going to be $5 trillion in 2024, actually. They are $6 trillion today, actually. Guess what they can do? They can create a payment gateway, and majority of your payment will get routed through Google Pay, actually, isn't it? Correct? They can also become, if you have heard about Amazon, right? What they did is, together with Berkshire Hathaway, created an insurance for their own employees, actually. And I mean, between them, they had millions of employees who were insurance. And the day they did it, that day, the insurance company's share tanked by 10%, actually. And this is how real it is, right? We get to talk to a lot of banks across the globe, actually, and we ask them, what if Google becomes a bank, Amazon becomes a bank? They say, very high possibility. So I said, what are you going to do? And this is someone who was in the boardroom shared with me. He says, most likely we are a highly regulated industry. What's going to happen is that because of the customer experience, because people like the kind of a customer experience they have, they're going to be the front end and we're going to be the back end BPO operation for them because we're going to do the regulation side. Right? Have you ever thought a bank will think like that? And this is a large bank, employs 150,000 people. That's what is happening in the world. So these are the disruptors. They are in the forefront. And I'm going to talk more about it because surely they are doing something in, obviously healthcare, actually, which is very interesting for you to see. Then there are followers, actually, who have realized that I need to do something, actually, to ensure that to stay relevant, I need to resurrect, actually. You need to decide who you are, what you want to do, but it's going to surely impact, actually. And then the victim of complacency, who are the laggard, actually, and consider what happened to Thomas Cook, falls into that, actually. And increasingly, right, I mean, if you look at interesting things, actually, Oyo started as a hotel room, then they expanded their largest hotel chain currently in China, actually. Those of you who don't know, actually. They've also tied up with Airbnb, actually. Yeah? And interestingly, okay, I think the next round they've raised, or they're going to raise, is at DecaCon, actually. How many of you understand DecaCon, actually? Okay, how many of you understand what is unicorn? Okay, those of you who understand unicorn, basically, these are the companies with $1 billion valuation. Correct? Decacons are the companies with $10 billion valuation. How many have heard about Oyo Room 5 years back? None, right? How many have heard about a story that in 5 years company starts and gets to become a $10 billion valuation company? That's digital disruption for you. There was a tweet around a year and a half back from the founder and CEO of Marriott. He said, look, I've been in this business for 35 years. I've got all the properties I own, actually. Here I am with a valuation of $14 billion. Here is Airbnb with a valuation of $35 billion. Actually. That's digital disruption for you. Make sense? Now that I have attention, let me just take you some of the interesting thing, actually. Why we believe digital is here to stay for a very simple reason. Because we met and interviewed close to 150 C-suite executives across the globe, in UK, in India, in US. And this is what they are saying. 90% of them are saying is that our job is going to change. And this we did it last year, so they said in next 18 to 24 months, actually. Nobody talks about 5 years these days, actually. Everyone is talking about 18 to 24 months, actually. Right? 67% of them, even I'm struggling to read, actually, says, it's important for them to embrace digital technology to change their own business. Correct? Surprisingly, only 45% of them said they've actually adopted on their way, actually. And that's a dilemma a large company faces. The problem is that they understand it's important. When they go back, guess what happens? 90% of their time goes into doing day-to-day activities, actually. So what have they realized? They're increasingly coming to realization is that I cannot have innovation coming from inside, actually. I need to look at innovation that's coming from outside, and probably I need to find a way to embrace it, actually, either partnering with them or procuring their product or finding a way to do investment in them, actually. And this is where they're trying to create a competitive advantage. Actually. Here are the forces of change. Actually. So Yale did a very interesting study. And they are saying is that the average age of S&P 500 company is continuously declining. Actually. Yeah? In next 10 years, they are saying that the average age of S&P 500 company, which is Standard & Poor, bit like our BSC, 100 index, actually it's a global index, they are saying that the average age will come down to 10 to 12 years. So 50% of your S&P 500 companies are going to get disrupted, actually. These are the companies which are large, actually, typically $3 to $4 billion, actually. They are saying this is what the prediction is about them, actually. Why? I mean, if you want to take a guess, right, because we keep tracking that, actually, it's an interesting figure. Every year, 2.3 million tech companies are born. Only tech companies. We are not even talking about the other SMEs which are non-tech and all that. And today, frankly, there is a realization that every company is a tech company, actually. Whatever you do, you need to have a tech in place, actually. Right, starting from your website and other things, actually. Correct? Because this is happening and there is a rise of tech, there is something interesting begin to happen from 2014, right? So you see that from 2014 to 2018, actually, and this is the figure we have picked up, the unicorn just skyrocketed, actually. So how many of you use LinkedIn? Yeah. Do you know when they became unicorn? In 2011. Do you know when they started? 2000. It took them 11 years, actually. Correct? Look, in 2014 to now, unicorn has moved up from 40 to 300, actually. And we did an interesting study, actually. There are some, and I'll take you through the slide, actually. There are some companies which are taking less than 3 years to become unicorn, actually. Have you heard of a company called Udaan in India? Yeah? They've become a unicorn, actually. That's the largest B2B marketplace where you can sell and do, transaction on the platform. Interestingly, you'll see that, so how many of you know what is corporate venture capital? How many of you know what is venture capital? So venture capitalists are the people who invest in startup, right? And typically these are independent companies, these are private equities, they'll see a value and they realize that this company needs money for expansion, working capital, they'll give it to them, take a stake, and then as they grow, they sell it, actually. This concept was alien in large corporate, actually. So from 2014 onward, they begin to realize that not only we need to partner with them, if required, actually, we need to acquire these companies to create a competitive advantage, actually. So they created a new division called corporate venture capital. And as a part of this new division, actually, right, they started taking a strategic stake in the startup to create a competitive advantage, something they can't do within, actually. Yeah, new trends you begin to see, actually, and this is what figure which talks about in 2014 to now. I mean, almost doubled, actually, the corporate venture capital. What is interesting is that, how many of you know Salesforce.com? Salesforce, yeah. They are today's world's largest cloud-based CRM, customer relationship management, everything automated. They were the first one, actually, large. Actually. And the CEO of Salesforce.com was at World Economic Forum, I'm sure many of you know World Economic Forum, declared that, we used to say oil is the new economy, then data became a new economy. He said, speed is the new currency of business. How fast you change and how fast you get ready to ensure that you don't get disrupted, that's important for you. So A, you need to understand what's happening in the market and then quickly take decision to make work. Okay, and I think 90%, and this is again a survey came from us, 90% of business leaders are beginning to believe is that it's important for us to move fast. The only thing is that within a large organization, it gets really difficult to move fast. See this. I mean, I was talking about dramatical difference, actually. In 12 years, 2000, we took a snapshot of all the Wall Street companies, and 2018, and see, the top 6 companies, all of them are platform companies, all of them are IT companies, and all of them from IT now are becoming bank, are also becoming healthcare companies. And it's very surprising, actually. Now, if you type on Google that how far is Kochi, Google will also tell you, do you want to book a ticket, actually? And it'll give you an option. Correct? Who thought that Google will start doing that, actually? And then they will tell you, do you want to pay via Google Pay, actually? So there is no bank involved, actually. Yeah? How cool is that? Who thought Google will do that? And where did a bank thought that they're potentially going to become a competitor to me, actually? Where did a travel agency thought that this is what is going to happen in Google, actually? These are all the things that's happening for you, actually. I mean, look at it, actually. And the new emergence of likes of Tencent, likes of Alibaba, actually, something which didn't exist, actually. Right? We always thought the innovation is actually coming from US and to its extreme UK, now you see it from various places, including India, and I'm going to take you through. These are the 10 startup, actually, and you see Udaan somewhere there on the third, actually, with U. They became unicorn in less than 3 years. How many times you have heard a company started 3 years back, and before 3 years, they became unicorn, means they're raising fund at a $1 billion valuation, actually. Essentially, it's a valuation of 7,000 plus crore.